Hey there, this is Rob Chadwick from ADL. This is just a quick demo of the progress on the Navy small boat attack simulation scenario. This is really just an in progress. Obviously, you can see the art here is non-existent. We're just doing all this with boxes, except for this nice piece of art over here. Let me start by showing you the interactivity for the 50 caliber, and you'll just have to imagine this as a nice looking 3D model of a 50 caliber. I'm going to go ahead and start the simulation by hitting play. I can zoom in and zoom out. If you look here, here is the bad guy. He's looking at us. The interactivity is about right, so I can shoot. I see some splashes there, got the nice audio going. And let's see if we can hit some of these. Some of these targets are just to show the explosion. Yeah, and they'll respond by exploding when you hit them. Let's see if we can shoot this guy. I think this guy might even move if we... Yeah, look at that. We can sort of make him move. And as he's coming... Oh, now I'm reloading, you'll notice. Obviously, if this were a real scenario, that would be a big problem. The reload takes a moment. There we go. And he can soak up a fair bit of damage. It takes a while to hit him when he's at his maximum distance here. Although not too bad. One of the things we can do is increase the sensitivity of the weapon. You'll see he actually fires there sometimes. So you look at the spread on my weapon, it's pretty tight. It's pretty tight, but we can reduce it or increase it just by pulling up the entity properties in the engine here. And it has sort of a slider for accuracy. It's at 50 now. Notice if I make it, let's say, 20, and play the simulation, I'm going to have a lot harder time hitting this guy. I don't know if you can see how much more those spread apart, but I can lay down a lot of fire here, and it's going to take me a while to hit him. Oh, jeez. We have this tuned up for 1,000 rounds and then a reload cycle. It would be nice to know the real amount of time it takes to reload, the amount of rounds before the real rate of fire, all that. If I spray these out here long enough, I should eventually get him, but with an accuracy of 20, that might never happen. So before I get through a whole nother reload round, let's just turn the accuracy up to 100, and I should have a much easier time hitting him. And I can't just hit him once. He has some kind of health metric. All of that is tunable. In this case, you'll see I have a very tight grouping now. And with that tight grouping, I should be able to lay down enough fire. No problem. I can get rid of him. So that's the 50 cal interactivity test. I'm just going to go to the worlds, my worlds, and I'm going to pull up the 5-inch gun interactivity test. Just like the 50 cal, you'll have to imagine the artwork. I think that there is the FAC in here that we can blow up, but other than that, there's just some placeholder objects. That's the sea bed. Let me get up above the ocean surface here. And again, we are just in sort of a default testing world. Let me activate the right camera. All right, very good. The interactivity of this weapon is a lot like the 50 cal. Click and drag to move and rotate. This thing is pretty powerful, and it shoots a fragmentation round, which has an effective radius. It would be nice to know the real radius. It would be nice to know how quickly this thing can turn. Right, because it's actually pretty easy to track the FAC, right? Let's see if I can make the FAC move. It's actually pretty easy to track him with the mouse, right? That's no problem at all. So I don't know if these weapons have a maximum rate of angle or what. But so as I mentioned, this thing has a frag round. It's got a pretty big sound there, which I like a lot. Now I can roll the mouse. Sorry, that's very loud. I can roll the mouse wheel to modify the fuse. So if I roll it way back, you see it explodes much farther off in the air. Now if I hit the water surface, doesn't matter what the fuse is, it's going to explode. These shells have an effective radius. I don't have to hit this perfectly. I just have to get pretty close, and these things are set up to detonate as well. One of the things that's kind of neat about them is they can make a little chain reaction, just like a video game. Oh, not quite close enough. There we go. Very good. It's a shame that this guy wasn't near any of those, or I would have got him. But I should be able to take him. Nope, not close enough. There we go. And now he is out of our hair. You'll notice he fires a missile every time I hit the space bar, just because I haven't disambiguated those keys. So it would be nice to know also the kind of appropriate ranges for these things. I think that was 300 or 400 meters there. I don't know how big the kind of visual effect should be, and I don't know what the effective radius of that blast is. All of those numbers are tunable. But until I know what they are, I can't put them in. We can also just expose those as parameters to the user, just like the accuracy of the 50 caliber. So that's the 5-inch gun. Let me drop back and I'll show you the interactivity for the FAK. And one of the last pieces here is going to be the Seahawk. I haven't coded up the interactivity for the Seahawk yet, but we'll get there. So this is the FAK world. It also has the Arleigh Burke in it. FAK is already kind of in range here. I'm going to go ahead and activate the FAK camera. Is it this one? No, that's from the deck. Let me activate... there we go. So this is kind of a chase cam. Right, and again, you'll have to imagine a little bit more art, but this one's a little bit more fully developed than the previous one. So I can kind of drive this guy around with the arrow keys, and I can shoot missiles. Those missiles intersect the ship. These missiles use the same code as all the explosion code. So if there were a FAK in the way, I could shoot it with these missiles. We actually have not modeled the ability to destroy the on-deck weapons. You can't destroy the 50 caliber gun. Although that's something that we might be able to add if so desired. Right? I think in the case where this guy gets close enough to do that, we're just going to call that a failure for the whole scenario. Something that I don't know that would be really useful to know is what are the dynamics of these missiles? Like how does this work? Are they like you just point them and they just go? In this case, they go at kind of a set angle, so you can just miss, and I don't imagine that is really how that works. I do think that I can change the slope of this missile launcher, which is kind of an invisible object right here. Let's see if I can't just push it ever so slightly down. I'm going to need to get at it from kind of a different angle. So the missile launcher is kind of an invisible shape that we use just to set the angle of the missile. And again, I don't know if these missiles like seek or what. So that's obviously going to be a problem. I think what we want to do is just like that. Now this will fire perfectly straight ahead. Let me go back into my camera. Whoops, that's the camera. You can actually see out there. There's the FAK, right, from the lookout. But that's not the camera I wanted. That's the camera. There we go. You'll notice I've kind of modified the angle of the missile launcher, so we should be able to now fire this straight ahead. Yeah, very nice. Are we going to hit it? No, I think we now have the angle set. Oh, no, it does eventually get there, doesn't it? So yeah, I don't know the relevant distances that these things are dangerous. I imagine something like this probably. I don't know how fast they move, so it looks like we're only about 500 meters away from that ship, from what I can tell. And this is going to take a good several seconds to get there. You can count probably to 10. Oh, no, I don't think that worked. Let's try that again. We have a little bit of work to do on the collision detection. It doesn't work every single time. Let's see if that one does it. I wonder if I'm... Oh, there it is. Yeah, so maybe not quite a count of 10. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Something else we can do is we can just move ourselves up alongside so close that the missile radius will blow us up too, which is kind of fun. So let's bring this in. And if we get close enough, we can just shoot the wall. This is actually a good example of where that collision detection needs some work. No, I guess that's not. We can't quite get close enough to damage ourselves. That damage radius probably needs to be much greater. There we go. So we got it just the right angle, and we were able to blow ourselves up, which is fun. But so we might model that as actually just a suicide kind of incident there as well. I'm not sure what we'll do with that. But so that's the interactivity we've got going so far, and a lot of my questions. If we can answer those, that would be fantastic. But so far, I think this is coming along pretty well.